So WCW, your run, you were there for about 3 years, guaranteed money. It
Yep.
was the right thing for you to do. The great thing about WCW, as far as I'm concerned, is up to about 1999, you would just get two names who had absolutely no history together and just or even style clash. I just put them together. And the
Yeah.
first match that comes up with you is you versus Juventud Guerrera. And it's just the most
Okay.
random matches. And that was one of the reasons why WCW was so great for me. Do you remember any like just completely odd matches that you were involved in?
Oh yeah, well that one I had actually finished up uh, what I was supposed to do contractually for that week, and I had actually went to Columbus, Ohio to pick up some different wrestling gear. Came home, had a mess with my machine to be in San Bernardino the next day, and I scheduled a wrestle Juventud Girl, and I was like, "Where the fuck did that come from?" It's just one of those weird things, man. You could go in. And I know for a while there, they were trying to put me with people that I could, work with, and like Terry Taylor would like sometimes say, "Okay, you're off today, Bobby, for this reason." They want to put me with someone else. But that was just your road agents are trying to keep, as Dean Malenko told me one time prior to him leaving, was Bobby got a lot of guys here just trying to hang on to their last check. So you'd go in and Terry would tell me this, Arn would tell me this, and then Paul would tell me something different, and all three of them had the best interest of me in mind, but they also knew, their job was on line too. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So yeah, matches like that would come up all the time. I was originally going to do, come in and work with the guys from the power plant, and I was going to get some wins, and then also help them guys out, the ones that were like your Ernest Miller and Glacier and those guys that needed more, veteran to lead them through matches and get them over on TV, and then the younger one that coming through, just beat them up so you could get a win, so I would still be strong enough that, equal opponent kind of thing. And of course, at one point, Terry had told me, "Oh, we got that idea." It was Ron Van Dam was doing Mr. Saturday Night up, or Mr. Monday Night on Raw, and Terry said, "Hey, we're going to try to do this thing. Maybe Mr. Saturday Night. We're going to start giving you some wins." And then Terry left, and so I got to the next show for TV, and Arn said, "Hey, Bobby, blah blah blah," and I said, "Well, Arn," I said, "Can I just ask something?" His thing was, like, we're just two gentlemen discussing business. Sure. I thought I was going to get some wins. I said, "I know it's a work, whatever." I said, "But I thought we were going to start doing this thing, maybe Mr. Monday Night or Mr. Saturday Night." And he goes, "Well, that was Terry, and Terry's not here." And I was like, "Okay, I get it." He goes, "Who you working on?" I said, "Alex Wright." He goes, "You can have a good match with Alex. Just go out there and have a good match." So I was like, and then Terry come back, and that was Icknade. So I was like, I just glad, and like Arn said, don't give them a reason. Don't give them a reason. They was letting people go left and right. And I was one of the last ones to go that wasn't on one of the big contracts, So I stayed as long as I could. That was because I did my job. I did what Arn asked me. Jimmy Hart was helping there at the end, trying to get make sure it was making the TVs and stuff. Yeah, it's just, but the matches themselves, fuck, sometimes they didn't make any sense at all, man. Honestly, too many Indians, not enough chiefs. This person telling you this person telling you that, this person's refusing to work with that person. Crazy.
When you were brought into WCW, you've been in WWF locker rooms, Grand Prix, Smoky Mountain, various other locker rooms. Was the WCW one? Could you just tell there was a bit of tension in the air when you walked in, or is that a bit overblown?
There was some tension for sure. Everyone just kind of broke off into their own little groups, really. Hogan had his locker room. Sting was there for a while, then he was gone, and he came back. He had his own deal because he was doing the Crow gimmick, I guess, at that point, and taking some time off. The main locker room itself, you'd go into catering, and again, people were eating with the same people that you kind of migrated to your little group, you know what I'm saying? Cliques, if you will. Yeah, there was definitely, and there was, hey, guys saying, they're bigger stars than this guy. some guys weren't even eating catering. They were going, the bigger guys were like going out and eating somewhere and then getting, if we had to be there at 1, they were coming in at 4. If we had to be there at 4, some of those guys were coming in at 6. I'm talking about some of the bigger stars. But yeah, there was underlying tension there at all times. At all times. It was, there was some joking around and stuff like that. But for the most part, it was just like, yeah, you'd have like Malenko or Eddie and Chris and Jericho, their little group. I might be at the Armstrongs over here, and then some of the Minnesota guys like Kurt and that group would be over here. It was just everyone, like I said, kind of segregated themselves. Like a lot of Hispanic, the Mexican guys, they pretty much stuck together, as did the Japanese guys. I think everyone worked together really well, considering all the stuff that could have happened. But yeah, there was just I think a lot of people there too were like thankful to be having a check, and some of them going, this could be my last fucking check, so yeah. They never knew what the hell they was going to do with you anyway. They tell you one thing and something else would happen.
How many bosses did you have at one point who were giving you instructions from the top?
Oh, well, like for me, mostly when I went to the war room, mostly like Arn or Terry Taylor or Kevin Sullivan. Those 3 were the main I listened to. But also, I reported to Orndorff a couple of times. He stayed, depending on where we was at. If we was in Florida, Orndorff would be one of the agents there as well, or I went to the actual office in Atlanta. But mostly I stuck with and talked to, and Jimmy Hart too, towards the end, especially Jimmy Hart. But mostly I spoke with Terry, Arn, and Kevin Sullivan. I spoke to one of them. I remember one time Kevin was in the back. Terry opened the door when I was asking how a match was, and I said something to, Kevin was back. I said, thanks, boss, like that. And Terry goes, which one of you call him boss? We're not fucking bosses, or something like that. They both just started laughing. I go, hey, man, I'm just glad I have a job. Thanks, guys. And it's someone they put me over on, and I asked how the match was, but I just made a reference like, boss, and they both just kind of laughed, they knew they was just one step ahead of me, really, been there a little bit longer and had more experience, and was just like hanging on that last check too, so yeah. But those 3 mostly. That's Kevin, nothing but respect for him. I think he has one of the greatest minds in professional wrestling. And then Arn and I spoke so many times, man. He gave me so many insightful things, ways to go about things, respectful professional comments. I can't speak well enough about my thoughts and respect for Arn Anderson. Then Terry, like I said, Terry brought me, helped me get in. He gave me the call. He said impress him during the tryout match. And Terry was always good to me for whatever reason. So maybe because I could work.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Hey, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt in the wrestling business if you know how to do what you've got to do.
Right.
I'll ask one more just about the inner workings. So as more of a WWF fan myself, I've got a fairly good idea of how you get to a TV taping at a certain time, hang around for pre-tapes, whatever. You find out who your opponent is. You've got agents. You've got the gorilla position.
Right.
Vince McMahon's always there if you need to talk to him or Jim Ross, let's say, if this was around this time frame, for talent relations. What was WCW's structure as far as who do you get your matches off? Who were there even any agents? I don't think there was any gorilla position, was there?
Yeah. Well, like I said, we had what's called a war room, and in there would be either Arn, a couple of them, usually Arn and like Terry or someone be there to give you the finish, So you had the war room, and that's where you go in. Now, if we weren't in Orlando, they had the board up, and it'd say, James versus Bobby, segment 1, match 1, whatever. Well, we'd go to the war room, and we'd pretty much know, okay, you're going over tonight, and we need you to get like 7 or 8 minutes or what have you. Once that was said, pretty much you just go to our gorilla spot. It could be any number of people, but Orndorff was there a few times. Jody Hamilton would be there. Jody was there almost every time, but Paul would be there. It could be any of those guys at any given time. And then when you come back through the match, again, they may be waiting for the next match. So it it wasn't as organized as what you're saying with WWF or WWE, but there was a little bit of a system that you went to the war. You got who you was working with. You went to the war room. You went over your match briefly, and you had an idea of what time you were going to go on. And you got to the curtain, and they'd say, "Hey, we know we told you had 5 minutes. You got 3 minutes, or whatever it is." And then you just, come back through and you report back to whoever sent you out. A lot of times I'd come back to Arn and say, how was it? Or they would send someone for you, because maybe like when I worked with Scott Norton, we had a really good match. Big, he's a big, strong guy, and he took care of me. And Arn called me in and said, "Hey, how was he? Was he stiff? This and that?" Because he was getting ready to do another program. I was like, "No, it's fine." He actually was happy that I had a good match with him. He said it's the best match he's had since he's been back here. And he said he did. And I go, "Yes, sir." And so here comes Norton, right on my ass. I didn't even know he was there. And he comes in, he goes, "Arn, put me if anytime you want, man." He goes, "That's the best match I've had since I've been here." And I was like, it made me feel good. But yeah, sometimes Bobby Eaton sometimes be waiting also, because he cared for the boys. He'd be able to go, "Next time, put your chin down on that belly to belly," or, "That's a good match." Or Orlando at the Worldwide, Terry was taking care of me there. So that's why I reported for 10 days, and he'd always ask me, "Does so-and-so take care of you?" Like, especially at Goldberg, Brian Clark, those big guys like that. They say, "Bobby, they take care of you?" And I said, "Yeah, it took care of me. It's easy." And they, okay, but yeah, there was a little bit of structure. It wasn't just, wasn't wild crazy, but there was some structure.
I will ask you about Bill Goldberg in a second, but I've got to ask, when you were looking at the blackboard, did you ever mistake Bobby B for Bobby E and turn up at the wrong time?
No.
No, fair enough. I had to ask.
Fair enough.
So I wear glasses all the time. Normally I wear glasses. I see if my name was Scott and I was in WCW, I'd be turning on to every other, I'd be coming to every other match. Scott Levy, Scott Hall, Scott Norton, just everyone to Scott there.
No, I didn't wear glasses then, but no, I never had that problem. I knew, I knew who I was. I knew who I was, where I was supposed to be.